Hey, what's going on, everybody? So, as all you guys know, for the past few weeks, the Packers have been without both Jair Alexander as well as Kevin King. So, we've been having some issues there at the cornerback position. In this entire offseason, when one of the biggest topics of debate was this Packers cornerback position, we all know Jair Alexander is a beast, and we needed some more guys to come in here and fill that cornerback room. So, of course, we came in and drafted Eric Stokes in the first round. Luckily, we did that because right now, if the Packers would not have used one of those premium top draft picks on a cornerback, we would right now be sitting with who knows what we would be having at cornerback right now. Maybe the Packers would have had to probably make some more moves. Luckily, we still have Eric Stokes, even though we are missing both Kevin King as well as Jair Alexander. But there's one guy who's been really solid overall in his past two games. That's what I want to talk about, and that is Rasul Douglas. And if you guys have yet to subscribe, you want to see more Packers content, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel down below. So within the past month or so, he was signed by the Packers. He was recently on a practice squad, which is pretty crazy. He was drafted back in the third round back in 2017. But if we take a look at his two games so far this season, Week 6 versus the Chicago Bears and Week 7 versus the Washington Football Team, as you can see here, Week 6, PFF gave him a 47.7 grade, which isn't great, but he did only allow 3 receptions for 32 yards. So maybe there were some other passes there that were overthrown that he wasn't covering well, but luckily he still held his receivers to under 32 yards. Then in Week 7, he was actually the Packers' highest graded defensive player out of every single player. He had an 88.3 grade. I took a look last year he played for the Panthers. I took a look at his grades all last season. He never had a grade in the 80s. So he had an 88 grade versus the Washington Football Team, and he was targeted 2 times, allowed only 1 reception for 4 yards, and had 1 pass breakup. So he's been doing very, very well. And if you sort of compare his grades in the 2 games to the rest of the Packers cornerback, here you can see Jair had a 75.1 grade in the snaps he played. And now Rasul Douglas, playing 110 snaps, has a 70.4 grade, which is second best to Jair Alexander, ahead of Eric Stokes, as well as Chandon Sullivan and Kevin King. And as you can see, outside of Jair, Eric Stokes, Kevin King, Chandon Sullivan, all in like the middle tier range, I'd say, of cornerbacks, ranked around 64th, 65th, and 66th. So now to be able to have Rasul Douglas, who at least in the game versus Washington played really well, I think is, keeping this Packers team alive, obviously dealing with all these injuries. The Packers have had to find different ways to get things done. And now I'm hopeful that, Rasul Douglas, maybe he is a guy who can continue to play more time here for the Packers. If he can play the way he played last week, obviously, though, when you're playing against the Bears as well as the Washington Football Team, maybe not the best competition. In the next 2 weeks, we have the Cardinals as well as the Kansas City Chiefs. So he will definitely be tested a lot more in these next couple weeks. We also don't know, Kevin King's injury status. Maybe he'll be back soon. And maybe the Packers would, want to go back to Kevin King over Rasul Douglas. But I'm curious to see, if Rasul Douglas does continue to play, can he play at the same level he played versus the Washington Football Team? Because he was lights out in that game versus Taylor Heinicke and the Washington Football Team. And so I think now the question is for the Packers, trying to figure out what they're going to do next. So let's say Kevin King does come back. Do you put him at the outside? Do you put Rasul Douglas on the bench, continue to play Eric Stokes as well as Chandon Sullivan on the outside? Or maybe do you move Kevin King to the slot and keep Rasul Douglas on the outside opposite of Eric Stokes? Because we did see earlier in the season, a little while when all of them were healthy, the Packers were playing Eric Stokes on the outside as well as Jair Alexander, then putting Kevin King on the slot in the inside. So maybe if they really like what they're seeing from Rasul Douglas, maybe they keep him out there and move Kevin King to the slot. There's definitely lots of different options for this Packers team, but luckily, I'm glad that we did come in and pick up Rasul Douglas, because if not, right now, we'd probably be struggling a little bit more on the defensive side of the ball. But those are sort of my thoughts on Rasul Douglas, sort of how he's looked so far. If you guys want to see more Packers content, subscribe to the channel. If you guys enjoyed it, drop a like, and I'll see you guys on the next video.